Efendim merhabalar. Yine bir çarşamba günü aynı yerde, aynı saatte hep birlikteyiz. Bugün yine çok özel bir konuğumuz var. Unilever, Türkiye, Orta Asya ve İran, İnsan Kaynaklarından sorumlu Başkan Yardımcısı, Yönetim Kurulu Üyesi MCT. Mel, welcome. It's so
Thank
nice
you.
to see you here.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you very much once again. We have a lot to talk, so I'm just going to jump into the first question. I know it's a lot going on in Unilever as usual. I'm an ex-Unilever guy, as you know, so it never stops in Unilever.
Nothing's changed.
That's perfect. It's good to hear. Please tell us what happened during pandemic, how business is doing, what kind of precautions you did during the past 7 months. The stage is yours.
Sure. Thank you. And you're right. I think at this time we've had to be faster than ever. And in fast-moving consumer goods, it's always a fast-paced business. So that never stops. But when you're hit with something like a pandemic, it means you need to be agile and pivot very quickly. So way back 15, 16 weeks ago, our global CEO, Alan Jope, decided that it was best for us all to work from home. So we put a global ban on going to the office and everybody came home. For those people in our supply chain and for those people in our sales, where they needed to, they would still visit our customers, or where our supply chain needed to work, we made sure that they kept on going 24/7. Put some very, very strict safety guidelines in place. We have what we call a tiered protocol in Unilever. We're very strict around safety in any case, but during these times, we've just heightened that. So we put what we call a global IMT together very rapidly, an incident management team. And we replicated that here in Turkey. We have one for the region, and then we have one in each of the countries we're looking after as well. And we meet daily to hear what's the new news from the globe. Is there anything coming in terms of global guidance? And then what do we really need to do with our situation here on the ground? And I must say, I think the best thing that could have happened is that we got some good guidance from the global team, and they're really sharing what other countries are doing, what's happening around the world. And of course, we have a big business in China, and we had a lot of learnings that we could have from China early on. But we were really left to our own devices on the ground. So you can bring in the best of the world, but you can absolutely do what you need to do to keep your people safe and well here in Turkey and across our TUI region. So we had the global IMT every day. My people team worked really on the people side of things. How can we pivot everything to online very quickly, make sure they still have access to well-being, access to the technology to do their job, access to the answers that they needed now that they're working in this new way. We put on a 24/7 hotline so anyone could call us at any time to get those answers. We have a chat bot that went crazy during this time with people asking our chat bot many things. We're the third biggest country in the world for usage of our chat bots now, which wasn't the case before the pandemic started. Our safety teams, as I said, every day we meet, we look at the safety protocols, we're doing audits everywhere, we're understanding what we need to do to enhance those protocols and train our people more. And then of course, it's about being connected during these times. So one is the safety and the wellness of our people, but how can we have that transparency and real-time communication? So we have what we call a Connect every week that's run by Mustafa, our general manager, and he speaks to all of those people in our ecosystem, including all of our employees. And we use Pigeonhole technology for people to very transparently answer any questions. They can ask any questions. We've had over 6,000 questions so far on that, from really tiny things that people have probably wanted an answer on for a long time but never had an avenue to do it, to really some big hairy questions around how they're feeling during the pandemic and requesting some additional assistance. I think during this time, we've also really we have an employee assistance program for those people who are not feeling well or feeling quite isolated at home during this time. And that's also really taken off. It was something that we had good numbers of usage, but during this time, people are really accessing that, which shows that I think people, especially now we're 15 weeks into this pandemic, are feeling a little bit over it. they've had enough now. I'd like to go home and see my family again, my family at work. I think we're desperate to have that social. Maybe the only last point before I hand back to you, I think in this time, we've also done a lot for the leaders, because it's not easy to be used to leading in the office and then all of a sudden you have to be leading on a technology. And I think there's a big amount of trust in Unilever. We have agile ways of working. I must say, nobody really took advantage of that policy in Turkey before this time. And now more than 75% of our employees only are interested in coming back to 2.5 days of working. So that's a massive shift. And we're going to be catering for that going forward. But that real leadership guidance, that line manager guidance, we've been doing a lot with them, but not necessarily on, of course, how to build your remote teams and everything, but also on their own leadership, their own personal mastery, how to be more human and more connected, which means you need to be more vulnerable during these periods of time. And sometimes that's a little bit hard to do when it comes through technology. So that's also been a big focus for us to make sure that we're able to lean in and keep an eye on all of our people.
Do you have an exact date to return the offices?
So this incident management team that I was talking about, we have kind of a strict protocol globally that's been given to us. And there's a book about 400 pages of what we need to do to make sure that we have a safe office when we go back and all the things that we need to cater for. And we're push button ready to go back to our offices if we want to press that button. But we've decided as an IMT that now is not the right time. I think with the numbers still quite high in Turkey and those trending up, we're making the decision. We said originally a couple of months back, we won't go back at least until 2021. We've now just said last week, we won't go back until at least the end of February. And then we will continue to assess the situation. And when we go back, it will be a very different workplace. We're already thinking about what that future is, and probably everybody won't come back in the same way that we used to be working.
Yeah, I think that's a point that I would like to tackle more at the end of our session. You know, what's next? What do you really think, and what's going to happen? I'm pretty sure you had already made some decisions, and then you will start deploying them in 2021. That's an interesting topic. But before coming to that, I know that you actually are leading for the whole human resources. But yes, at that point, you are also, please do correct me if I'm wrong, you are restructuring kind of you're transforming the organization to the agility, if I may say. The agile organization is going to be in the agenda of Unilever. It's a topic. This year in MCT Summit, it's our topic. You know, agile or fragile is actually the concept, and we'll have lots of speakers around the world to talk about this. But but the theory is there, but you have the practice. What would you like to share about that?
Agile is not easy, especially I think when you're a big elephant like us and you're trying to become an agile greyhound. And I think it requires first a big shift in our own mindset about what's possible and how we get work done. Yeah. And I think we started on this journey. I've been in the business in Turkey for 2 years, and it was something that I was really keen on doing when I first came here. And it was a little bit slow going. It was just at the beginning of Agile. People weren't really up for it at that moment. Some were willing to give it a try, but it was a much bigger mindset shift than I probably appreciated. In Unilever globally, it was also around the time where we started to shift and we wanted to move to a more agile model. But we said, let's go to some places where there's affinity for it. So we have a place called Glass Mill in London. And that is an IT innovation hub. And they were working in digital and have been working in digital for the last kind of 5 years in this agile manner. And people in that kind of glass mill setup were really excited about their jobs, super motivated. There was a lot of stuff coming out of there. And a lot of the leaders got quite excited about that. And we started to look at what are some other places in our business that we could try to do that. In Turkey, we really accelerated this journey around 12 months ago. And I thought, well, it's really hard to push water up a hill with the business. You better try and learn it yourself with your own team. If your own team can do it, then you can inspire others to do it as well. So in HR, I'm happy to say, and COVID was a real igniter, because it was also a little bit slow in the beginning with our team to move to Agile. But in COVID, we really saw that that was the way to work. And actually it unlocked so much more capacity in our people, more motivation, the ideas were better, and we were flowing to work and getting the most impactful things done at speed. And I think that's what Agile really does for you. It means you have to do ruthless prioritization, which we're not always good at because we want to do everything yesterday. But you have to be really good at prioritization, and then you have to be good at understanding the people that you've got and matching the people to the work and really ordering things. Yes, you'll get through everything, but you have to have some kind of order that you're going to, or otherwise that capacity won't be there. So we learned in the team the hard way. We had an Agile coach, which really helped us because she slapped us across the wrist when we were doing the wrong thing, which helped with our behavior and mindset shift. My whole team are doing a professional certification on that now so that they really understand the methodology behind Agile. We have a digital hub, and that team also has gone completely Agile. And then some of our marketing teams adopted Agile tools to make innovation faster. And during COVID, that was super important, especially in our home care business. And we saw what were really long innovation cycles, maybe even 6 months, 8 months, really pulled down to 4 weeks. And so we could get the right things off the supply chain, first decided, worked with R&D and off the supply chain and into our consumers' hands when they really needed it super fast. We have 15 Agile dedicated teams. This will be the biggest thing that we will focus on next year, and we will look at really expanding it across the business. I just spent the last 2 days with our extended leadership team and the board talking to them about their own personal mastery in a game, building their own capability in the shifts that are required to lead. And one of the biggest shifts we want them to lead next year is in Agile. I think it's game changing. It will be what will lock in that agility and that flexibility for us to continue, I think, with a lot of the ways of working that we've learned during COVID. And it will be easy at some point to maybe go back to what we used to know, but we must, I think, hone in on that momentum, because what it can bring is lots of opportunity, from careers to innovation to many things. But Agile is not for everywhere in the organization. There are still going to be roles, like I don't want my payroll team to really be going Agile. Otherwise, they might be flowing to a different type of work other than paying people. So there will be some of those static roles. People who have capacity can give some to the squad teams, and others will be completely working in that way. And we're designing now careers for different types of people and flowing to work in different ways.
I know that Agile organization is actually an innovation in the ways of working. Yes. Like GE using kind of lean canvas or some other type of canvas.
As we're also adopting Kanban and Scrum. Yes.
Exactly. I think you did mention a little bit about it, so I want to just come back onto that one. Having Agile organization and then the pandemic situation comes into hand to hand. I think it's so hard to be or maybe act to be like a leader. Everything has changed. Currently, we are now having a program in MCT about servant leadership. And there's this agile leadership and then authentic leadership. There's lots of combinations around.
Compassionate leadership, yes.
Exactly. I just want to understand, from your perspective, from Unilever's perspective, how would you define the new skills and capabilities for leadership coming from pandemic pressure and as well as the agile transformation?
Yeah, I think at Unilever about 2 years ago, we set up what we call our standards of leadership. And it's quite a new model. I think in the past, we looked at a lot of the traits in leaders that have to do with great execution. So things like being a great talent catalyst, building your business acumen, etc. But that's great, and that's what we call our outer game. And of course, you need to still be able to do all of those things and those behaviors to drive something to completion. But there's a big piece and becoming more and more important in leadership, which we call our inner game. And that has 3 strands to it. One is purpose and service. So really knowing your own purpose and coming from a service mindset in terms of servant leadership. What can I do to serve my customers? What can I do to serve my people in my team? What can I do to serve the business better? What can I do to serve my own purpose in line with the company's purpose? There's a second part, which is around personal mastery, and that's being able to bring your best self to work. And unless we're really self-aware of what's going on within ourselves, why perhaps we can't be vulnerable, why perhaps we can't get that connection that we need with our teams, all those human dimensions that, you know, we dare sometimes not to go and kind of open the lid on. It's that piece. The more we understand ourselves and what we can do, the better we can complement those around us, ask others for help, and really be authentic and true to ourselves at work. And we can also know when we're getting a little bit to burnout or our own well-being is a bit out of whack at the moment, and what we need to do to get energy. So that's all about the personal mastery. And then the third piece is around curiosity. And I think this is a huge important piece for leaders. It's coming from a beginner's mindset. And, you know, as Microsoft and Satya Nadella has put on, it's from a learn-it-all mindset. We are not, you know, the leaders of the frontier that know everything anymore. Actually, we have to keep learning, unlearning, and relearning at speed. And to have that kind of learning agility that's required of us as leaders, even as you said, into getting into different leadership models for the time and what's important for now to drive the motivation of our people and ultimately help them grow the business. We need to be able to be curious and learn constantly. And even in Agile, I think it means that, you know, not always the leader with the biggest badge or title is even sitting in that squad and driving that thing. It's the people that know how to solve that problem. They get together, they self-organize, and off they go. So we have to learn to lead less in a hierarchical way and come much more from a new power way. And I think fantastically, you know, there's a lot of shitty things around the pandemic that we can all sit here and groan about, but their opportunity that it has presented is for us to accelerate some of these things that were inevitably coming in any case. So I think it's that purpose and service, it's really that personal mastery, and it's really honing in on your curiosity and making sure that we're always sitting there and thinking, hang on, am I letting my own bias and my own experience get in the way? And ultimately get out of the way and let the people do, and be okay to say, sometimes I don't know. We don't have to have all the answers. We just need to know where to get them.
Exactly. When you say purpose mastery, I thought you were going to continue with autonomy, like the Daniel Pink's motivation 3.0. But the curiosity piece is very important, and I do love the Alvin Toffler's that, you know, learn, relearn, unlearn phrase. I think it's very important, you know, learning agility and everything. I think that the point, you know, how, especially during these times, I think one of the keywords is performance. You know, having all the you know, successful elements, you know, asking the right questions, understanding, you know, how things are structuring out. What's the purpose of what we are doing here? I think once it's cleared out, I think the performance by itself comes with the potential.
Yes.
Yeah, potential. But I'm curious about how you had managed performance, you know, because the word efficiency is like everywhere and everyone is trying to be very efficient. I just wonder, you know, how you manage this keyword in a success.
Yeah, I think it's sustainable performance. I think we need to move to, because especially in a time like the pandemic, anyone can perform. And I think we're overperforming. We're more productive than ever. We're more efficient than ever, but we're on more calls back to back and sitting down all day more than ever. So I think it has to be sustainable in performance. And what we talk about, and we've really shifted, and I mean, most of multinationals, most companies are in a shift in any case with their performance management. And we shifted last year to what we call a performance growth culture. So it's all about growth culture, and that's got 3 elements. One part of that element, which is really important, is the team performance. So, you know, a lot of performance management system looked at you as an individual, you're in your performance, it's all about you. This is also around how are you contributing to the team, and what do you bring to the team and to the collective. There is a second element, of course, around your own individual assessment and what you're bringing. But part of that is also your development. So how much are you investing in your development? Because we know people don't tend to have that on their to-do list. That is something that comes on Friday afternoon if I have time, and an urgency comes in and I don't have time. So we're actually saying you didn't do a good job in the year if you didn't grow yourself as well. So we're looking at how much they're growing their own selves, because we know if they can continue to learn, ultimately the business will grow and we'll be able to innovate more. And the fourth kind of element linked to your own development is the energy that you're driving in your team. So the well-being side of things. How are you bringing that well-being in your team? How well are they feeling? How energized are they? Are you valuing rest and recovery like a performance athlete as much as you're valuing that performance? And we've really shifted from we used to have what we call the 3+1. You have 3 goals and 1 development goal, and you work on that for 12 months. That's out the window. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen in 2 months anymore. So we've worked just like Agile. We've moved to, some teams are on OKRs, so following the kind of Scrum methodology, but the business is on flexible goals. Every quarter we sit down, we have a performance conversation. Are these the goals that we need to be having right now? Yes or no? We swap them in and out in a much more dynamic manner. We have always on feedback that comes from your team. So from all angles, 360, from your boss, from your peers, and from the team around you. And they can give that to you anytime. It's very open and transparent as well. So that frequent feedback mixed with the checkpoints in those goals really, really help. So a big shift actually in our performance management, really trying to drive a culture of accountability, of being human, and kind of having purpose.
You're right about nothing has changed in Unilever. Everything is very structured and to the point. But I hear lots of simplicity. You know, like things are getting very simple. I mean, the agile organization, agile mindset needs that.
Yeah, and I think people need that. I mean, I think if you look at some of the surveys, you know, that red tape, that bureaucracy, doing things in a very manual way. We don't want people to be spending their brain power on that. We want people to be spending on their brain power and dreaming up, you know, what are our consumers needing and doing that. Exactly. Or my team thinking about what do our people need and then making that happen and caring for them, not filling out a spreadsheet.
I'm not going to get into that topic, but I think this is also very much incorporating related with the talent management as well, because we're talking about a new world for the new generation, and I think all you have just listed is kind of the demands from the bottom, if I may say. As I said before, you know, I think one of the most important questions of today's session is what's next. So please do help us what you have planned, and we'll appreciate if you will share some of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're working on, and I think you know from working in Unilever, there's always multiple tracks. But if I was to break it down on kind of 3 big things that I think are coming and we need to really do big. Of course, learning is one of them. We really have to learn at speed. I think no organization out there has the skills today that they probably need to thrive in this new world, and in the world that's kind of rapidly changing, the new normal that is already here. And a year ago, we said, you know, the future is coming. The future is here and the next one's kind of coming. So we really need to help our people with a skills uplift. And of course, you can buy in skills, but if you're only buying in skills and not focused on really upbuilding and upskilling that skill base you already have, I think you're doing a disservice to your own people. So we are going to, and we're putting a lot of money behind this and really investing in the learning of our people. For them, some of them, it will be upskilling. So we will get them better at their job and be able to do that in the new normal in a more efficient way. Upskilling in Agile, etc. Some of them will be reskilling. So we see actually those skills are no longer really needed, or that job's not really needed, but that doesn't mean your life is over or your career at Unilever is over. Actually, we have some new models where we are helping people step back and to really retrain and reskill, and then be able to come back into a completely different role. And then we're also really building that employability. I think that's the main thing that all businesses should be doing. With the skills that are changing so fast, some people are just not going to have that skill or that job available. But the best we can do is make them employable for life. And then people always have a choice. They don't have to be worried about, oh, what if I get made redundant? It's going to be okay because I've got all of these skills and I'm going to go on and kind of live my dream and my purpose. So learning, upskilling at speed, a huge one. And a lot of that requires also a mindset shift on why we're upskilling and the need to upskill, and that curiosity and learning agility. So a huge, huge focus on skills. We've got priority skills. We know the skills. We have 6 skills across our business that we want all our people to learn, and then per function what they want to learn. And then we really link that obviously to the careers, as you were talking about, because it's about.
Well, if I may interrupt, I just want to understand that six skills that you just mentioned. Sorry, I got curious again.
So I'm not sure. I want to let them all out, all my secrets, but I'll give you some hints around some of them. Of course, data and analytics is a big one, and we really want everybody to understand that. AI and robotics, we want everybody to understand that, because by understanding both of those skill sets, you can also think about how can I make my job easier. And I think the beauty in Unilever is if you can find a way to make it easier, if you let us know, we will make it happen for you, because we want, as you said, to simplify everything. Let's cut all the stuff that's non-value adding and get to that future. Agile is another third skill, and all the pieces that go around Agile. And some things linked to Agile, if you're a leader, will also be around how do you do redeployment. So how do I see I've got a team of 30, actually I don't need 10 of them at the moment, they can be redeployed over here. And we did a great job in COVID. We redeployed over 115 people in our business to completely different jobs that they didn't have the other day because they were a bit idle or we didn't need them there. And that's great from a career building point of view. The other 3 skills I will keep to myself. Okay. And if you want to know, I will tell you offline, and this will keep it juicy for other people to ask us some questions later.
Perfect.
So what were we up to? I've lost my train of thought. Talent. So I said learning. I think the other piece of learning is also learning about how careers are different. And I think this is really important because nobody is going to have the career like I did. Nobody's going to have the career like any of us in the board had. A very linear career. You do A, you do B, you're going to get to C. Well, that C may not even be there by the time you're ready for it. So it's not about thinking roles anymore. It's about thinking, what skills do I have? How can I collect different experiences to make myself more match different roles? And what's the kind of level of leadership that I'm building? And we're really moving from careers as a linear career path to what we're calling a beehive. And we've even developed a technology called Flex that helps us really see the skills of all of our people around the world. And we have a list of kind of jobs available. And then through AI, it even gives you some matches of who's available that could help you with that. And sometimes it's on a short-term basis, and sometimes it's a full job change. So that helping people understand that their career is different, and that to develop their career, they need to do different things from their moms or dads or aunts or uncles or what they've seen before is critical, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of disappointed people waiting for something that just doesn't exist anymore. And we have to be honest about that is gone and this is here, but what an opportunity it is. And that means for us HR people, we have to rip up some of the old things. Like with work levels, we paid people. Actually, we have to take pay and work level away from each other and give you money for the level of leadership you bring, the skill you bring to this piece of work that you're doing. Makes it more complicated from a back end, but makes it more exciting from somebody who's really worked on building their skills. And then we're going to have a lot of learners, I'm sure. The second big emerging trend I see is on mental well-being as a total, but I think mental and emotional well-being. The longer we're at home, the longer we're separated, the more we have to deal with the technology. And especially for those people, like in Turkey, many people live in a smaller apartment alone by themselves. It's hard. You don't have that level of social interaction that you're used to. So we have to really care for those people, help them re-engage, and we have to be savvy about what kind of engagement we can do to bring them back, and also give them the support that they need when they're not in a great space. I mentioned the employee assistance program, but I think there's many more things that we're working on ourselves around that, and that can help them build resilience for that sustainable performance. I think in all the countries I've worked in, and I've worked in a lot, Turkey is the best country to execute anything. You know, if you say we need to do this and people believe in it, they will do it 100 times better than you ever imagined, and it will happen, 10 times faster. But that also pays a toll at the end. It means we can get to burnout, or we can feel out of whack when it comes to work-life balance. Exactly. So we have to teach people, like an elite athlete, that we can't run a marathon every day of the year. Or we can't keep running 100-meter sprints back to back to back. Actually, even great performance athletes rest and recover, whether it's between races or in the off season. And we have to help our people. It should be on your to-do list that you need to rest and recover just as much as doing the thing you need to do. And if we can balance those two things, wow, what a powerhouse we will even be even more. So really fostering that sense of sustainable well-being, building the resilience in our people to really thrive. And then the final one, I think, is around the future of work. And obviously there's many themes that come under that, but I think there's three where we're spending most of our time. Well, the first one under kind of future of workplace. So we alluded to it earlier. We will really go back to a very different workplace. We're thinking, what even do you go to the workplace for now? It's certainly not to do silent working, because you can do it like this. Do we even need a silent room to get on a Zoom? No, because you can do it at home. We want to go there to collaborate. We want to go there to be with each other. So the spaces that we will need will be different. But you don't just want it collaborative. You need a safe haven that you can go to. So how do you also have that safety aspect as well as that collaborative aspect? And we have a squad working on that right now to really think we're one of 9 of our countries globally. We will pioneer in this space. So it's a super exciting one. I don't know what it's even going to look like yet, but I know it's going to be cool. Then there's kind of future of workforce. And we just launched in September a new model for working for those that are almost ready to retire, but would like to still stay in Unilever a bit, and offer some of their time, but not all of their time. We have a new model to be able to do that allows them to work in different places as well as us, to create a bit of a portfolio career, which also helps them move into a lifestyle that they want, but also allows them to free up a space for somebody who would like to do their job. So that's one new model. We have another one that's coming up, which we call You Train, which is all about helping people stop for a while. We will invest in them to go and learn a skill that they want to go and learn. And then they will take a little bit of time off and do some part-time work while they're also studying. And then they will come back and we will put them in a new job where they can deploy that new skill. We've got some more ideas in employment models. This is all really new territory, all very new in the employment law in Turkey as well. Not as easy as some other countries, but we're going to find a way, because it's important to give people choice and to create some of these new employment models that can also allow us to have a much more diverse and inclusive workforce, because we can tap into different people who might only have a short period of time but want to be included into the workforce. And we know that unemployment, and especially youth unemployment, is a big issue in Turkey. So this will also help with that. And then finally is kind of the future of work itself, and how and where we invest. Often before, we're counting our FTEs. We're looking at, okay, you can only have an FT in there if you're bringing in a certain amount of revenue in your business. But we're really getting people to think different business models in different parts of our organization, different roles, which we might invest in ahead of time. So we have one director that we only have working on partnerships at the moment, thinking about how we can create something around partnerships. And because he has that time and capacity to think, amazing things are happening in that space, but we would have never invested in that ahead of time. So how can we be really innovative with the work and ahead of time and really disproportionately invest where we might not have? And linked with that is also using the gig workforce, using a lot of our what we call Gen Next, which are university students, and really bringing them into the agile teams, because it just doesn't have to be our fixed FTEs. Actually, there's a really nice place in those for different experts, different points of view, that with that diversity can come more innovation, to kind of linking that piece in as well. So we're not short of things to do. Anyone who wants to collaborate we're welcome, because we surely can't solve everything ourselves.
Mel, actually, I was thinking about Sinan, how much did he capture? Yes. I think he's a little bit lost right now, but before jumping on the conclusion, there's a question from Ferhan. I actually have the same question on my mind. The question is, it says, in the new world now, as Unilever, what kind of qualities you look for when employing new employees? Do you have age limitations? So two separate questions.
Yeah, so age limitations, no. And even in our UFLP program, which is our Unilever Future Leaders program, where we're hiring people usually direct from university, we've even opened that up to first bouncers or anyone who wants to apply and take a graduate program. So you could be 56 and you want to come into Unilever as a graduate, then please apply. We're happy to see you. I think age is absolutely no barrier. When I say that, it's more age of the brain. It's how future fit are you? Exactly. And we call it a future fitness. For us, that future fitness is all about your learning agility, your level of curiosity, what skills are you bringing to us? What experiences have you had, and what's your level of leadership? They're the three things that we're really looking for. And I talked about our standards of leadership before. That's what we're looking at. How is your personal mastery? What is your purpose and service looking like? What's your level of curiosity? How good are you as a talent catalyst? What's your level of business acumen? Some of the standard things, of course, are still in there, but actually we value the soft side, because you can't teach that as much. I can train you on a new skill tomorrow. That's not a problem. But it's, do you have that kind of basis of personal service and that personal mastery and that level of curiosity? If you have that, then you're going to be a great culture fit for us, and then we can help grow and help you realize your potential. So it's much more on that side these days, and a much more, and we have to keep working on it. I don't think we're fully there yet, but a much more diverse and inclusive strategy. So having people that are disabled, making sure that we are having a lot of youth come in. So that's why we have our Gen Next strategy there, where we still have university students just coming in, all the way through to people who, like I said, they might be ready to retire, but they're not quite finished with us yet. Great, we want to keep you in our workforce because you've got some of that experience that we also need. And diverse thinking. I think, how do we make sure, people like myself bring a very different point of view to somebody who's only grown up here all their time. So how we can make sure that as we are employing, really have that nice diversity and inclusion lens, not just looking at gender, but far, far beyond that.
Perfect. I'm still thinking about Sinan, so I just wanted to see, how he had captured 5 bullet points, or I don't know.
Sorry, Sinan.
100 bullet points. Let's see what he had. And I have also taken, so many notes. Well, let's see what is our takeaways. FMCG business had to move faster than usual. That's correct. That's actually has been led by the demand. Received useful guidance from headquarters. I think what you have mentioned is IMT, right?
Yes, the incident management team. I think the other thing that I didn't mention is the incident management team in this time only focuses on people and safety. That's all we talk about for at least an hour in the morning, every day. And we still do that today. We will not do that until things are completely over. But we also have what we call a BCT. We love acronyms at Unilever. The BCT is the Business Control Tower. So before, you might have to come to a monthly meeting at the board. You'll tell the board what's going on. We will decide, or we might ask you for some more research, and then you'll come back for the next one. We have a Business Control Tower every day. So So those people that are running our business teams, they're coming, they're looking for some sign off, they're getting it in that afternoon and off they go again. So again, in a much more agile kind of manner. So I think it's having that lens on business continuity, whilst also having a very different lens on people and safety, and valuing both just as much.
I am also taking that as a note as well. The third one is big focus was on communication, instant and transparent, and putting health in front to keep all people safe. I also like when you talk about how the mental well-being is important. Yes. I think also in the performance management, you also mentioned about the energy, how when you talk about leadership and then performance, it's all about energy. So one of the key elements was energy. So therefore, as you say, BTC, I think with the other group is putting health and energy and well-being in front of everything. That's what I heard.
Correct. And really, I think it comes down to putting people first. And I mean, that it's always the cliche, but many businesses put the business first. But actually, if you put the people first and you do the very best you can, they will take care of the rest. Exactly. Sometimes we forget that, and they need to be healthy. They need to have that energy. And people also need a bit of a break. And it's not long sometimes. Like actually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I run a mindfulness session over Teams. And anyone can join. Sometimes we have 500 people, sometimes we have 5, and it's if you can join. But if you need that kind of break to recenter yourself, and I mean, that's a bit quirky. It's not usual. Before COVID, we might have thought, who is this strange person? I'm sure people did when I used to run those sessions. But now people, they get it. It's clicking. I understand why I need to kind of focus and recenter myself and then go again, because it's a small mini break. We don't have to take a 2-week vacation. Sometimes we just need 15 minutes to walk around and take a breath.
Exactly. Mel, do you accept people from outside your organization?
So we haven't, so far we haven't opened it up. But one thing that I am super into is collaboration. So I do capability swaps with other companies where we share some of our learning curriculum and they share theirs, and we let any of our people go on them. I do talent swaps. So I send some of my talent to one company and they'll send another one. And one thing I really also want to start is well-being swaps. So I would be super open. If you want to come to the well-being session, you've got an open.
Yes, thank you very much. That was actually the answer I was trying to get.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, but very happy to do that. You met Nilofer before. Nilofer also runs some of the sessions with me. She does it in Turkish. I obviously do it in English, and she's a great guru when it comes to managing your energy. So it's some of these things that we never tried before, but if you're a little bit curious, you can work out how it helps you with your personal mastery, actually.
Exactly. And coming back to takeaways, the new leadership model has 3 important topics. You said purpose and service, personal mastery, and curiosity. I think these are much linked with the new, the upskilling, reskilling points as well. Without them, you wouldn't really guide employees to grow on learning and developing their careers and their mental well-being. Very much, hyper-connected.
Yes, maybe the other thing when I see it like that, I think the other thing is managing the paradox, because I think we all as leaders have to get better at managing the paradox. What's happening in the short term and the long term, and you have to manage both. What's the new ways of working with this really difficult COVID time that we've got. Everything is a paradox and pulling you in 2 directions. And I think before we were quite one-dimensional leaders working in one space, or today we're looking at this and tomorrow we're looking at that. But we have to be able to manage in that paradox now. It's a big paradigm shift for leaders, I think.
Perfect. I do agree with you. And thanks for sharing those 3 new skills, if I may say. The other 3 is still making me curious. But the data analytics you said, I think AI-based programs like the machine learning and maybe RPA is part of it as well.
Correct.
And you said agile. Those 3 things are going to be the new capabilities of 6 of them that you have chosen. Unilever, I think it's very important as well. I heard a lot of leadership. I heard a lot of simplicity. I heard a lot of human first. And lots of structures, and there's a big vision I think that you are leading in Unilever Turkey. Well, good luck, if I may say.
Thank you. Thank
There's
you.
a lot to do. Anything you would like to add?
I think, I think it's just about, like I said earlier, it's about putting our people first. And I think there's no better time. I'm so excited to be someone who's leading for people in our organization. I think there's so much to do. And there were sometimes people in my team that would say, I'm not sure, Mel, if HR is making an impact. And I think now they're pretty sure that we're making an impact. I think they've seen that, and we can make even more of an impact. But we have to do that together with the business, and we have to do that together with each other and collaborate. So I think let's put our people first, but let's work together to do that, to really have an impact and work with the business to help our people fully energized, fully future fit and purpose-led. And then we can make anything happen.
Thank you very, very much. I mean, we heard a lot. I'm sure that there's a lot to hear from you, from Unilever as well. Maybe next time, maybe longer times. Just really, really appreciate that you're here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And next time we can also do a mindfulness session as well.
Yes, I'm going to join as well on that one topic. Thank you. Efendim teşekkür ediyoruz. Bir çarşamba gününde aynı yerde aynı saatteydik. Uzun uzun konuştuk, daha konuşacak çok şey var. Çünkü son 7-8 ayda onu yapacağız, bunu yapacağızdan artık yapıyoruz'a geçtik. Önümüzdeki hafta çarşamba günü yine birlikte olacağız. Tekrar görüşmek üzere. Sağlıkla kalın, sağlıcakla kalın, hoşça kalın.